Hey, it's Colleen with Rope and Resellers, and I have an update video for you on what I sold. I'm just trying to get my other sheet up so that I can see what I'm talking about. Last week, I had to go in on Monday. I picked up a bunch of stuff from an auction, and so since I had to go to town anyway, since I live 40 miles away from town, I had to get groceries and do all that stuff. And so I decided that I was just not going to do a video last week. So I'll just do 2 weeks. It's March, so it's slow, so it doesn't really matter. So let's get right into it. The first bit is March 13th through March 19th. And the first thing I sold was a Panasonic pencil sharpener, model KP310. And it's bread and butter. I paid $2 for it at Goodwill, and I'm not going to talk a lot about pencil sharpeners except that it's kind of, unless you can find the really, really old Boston Panasonic, or some of the models of Panasonic are still good. That ship has sailed, so to speak. So there are a million out there. They're really hard to sell. This one didn't take that long. This one took 3 weeks. Actually, I think it took longer because I think I sold it and it came back to me and I resold it. So I sold it for $22. The next thing I sold was a Debbie Mumm stocking cross-stitch kit that I picked up at a thrift store for $1.25, and I sold it for $19.99, and that took 3 weeks to sell. Yes, it's March, and yes, you can sell Christmas, because if they're anything like me, it takes like a year to do those kits. Next thing I sold, Nike golf baseball hat. Picked that up at a garage sale, estate sale for $1. I sold it for $12.50, and that took 7 weeks to sell. Next, I had these gold stud earrings. They turned out to be 14 karat. I did buy a kit and tested them. Thank you, Margaret, for all your fabulous, from Texas Gal Treasures, for all your fabulous advice. I sold those for $16.99. They didn't cost me anything because they came out of Margaret's jewelry jar I won. So there's a pipeline right there. That jewelry jar is going to provide me income probably at least through the summer. And that only took a week to sell, so that was pretty fast. Next, I sold a Campfire Girls Hilo membership pin. It's a tiny little thing. I picked it up in a lot of pins from an estate sale, and that I sold for $19.99. It cost me 10 cents, and that took 3 months to sell. Next up, Littlest Pet Shop. There's another pipeline. I think last summer I bought a giant box of those things for $5. My daughter got most of them, but I told her she could have the whole thing and didn't have to pay me back if I could take all the top of the line animals out. And since she has a million cats and dogs, she's like, sure, no problem, because she wants all the lions and weird eclectic ones. But those aren't the ones that sell. The ones that sell are the cats and the dogs. So I sold this cat for $27.99. Cost me about 50 cents because I got quite a few animals out of that one because it was really a pretty big lot. And that took a while. That took 9 months to sell. Next up, I sold a Patagonia stretch polo. It's white with green stitching. I picked that up at a local thrift store, and they have a bin out front on Saturday mornings. Well, maybe they have it all the time, but I go there on Saturdays for nothing. They have a free bin, and I guess nobody wanted it. It had a few stains. I put stain killer on it, and it killed the stains, and it looked amazing. So I sold it for $14.99. That took 3 weeks to sell. Next was a HP 20C calculator. The vintage HP calculators still are doing okay. I picked that up for $4. So I sold it for $44.99. And then it went international. So they paid $83.89. It cost me $4 at the thrift store, and it took 6 weeks to sell. Next was a Tory Richard sundress. Super cute. I picked this up for $2.50 at a thrift store, and $19.99 was what it sold for, and that took 3 months, which I'm surprised. It was a Mandela, yeah, I guess that's what those things. My daughters love to color those. They're like wheel things. Anyway, it had that pattern on it. It was super cute. It was orange. If it were my size and I wore sundresses, I probably would have kept it. Anyway, that took 3 months to sell. Next, I sold a Netgear router that ended up, I sold it for $19.99. It actually went local, so it wasn't very expensive to ship. And the guy couldn't figure out how to make it work. So I just told him to donate it. So there was a loss on that of $6.31 because that's what it originally cost me to ship it. So I actually lost money on that. No big deal. I'm kind of neutral on the whole electronic thing. Sometimes my dog's growling at the cat. Sometimes they're fabulous and I make lots of money, but I should just stay away from cheap electronics because I feel like more often than not, I just end up refunding the person. And I don't know if it's that things get banged around in shipping, although this went one town away, or it's just too complicated, or I don't know. I like the old vintage electronics, the old Ataris and stuff like that. Those always do really well, but some of this newer router stuff, I'm not that into. Anyway, moving on. And the last thing I sold that week was a pair of Roxy Cha-Cha shorts. I picked them up last summer at a garage sale for $1. They sold for $14.99. They took 7 weeks to sell, so get those shorts and bikinis and tank tops and stuff listed. You don't make a lot of money on them, but they are going pretty fast. So that is it for that week. And the net on that was $288.29. Cost of goods $13.35. Selling costs $119.95. And for a gross of $154.99. Not quite the $200 gross that I like to get. Am I saying that wrong? Gross and net and gross. Anyway, the final money that I see was $154.99.